Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another exciting edition of Pardon Our Picks, where perfection is a work in progress. I am your host, Sam, and along with me, of course, is my esteemed colleague. How you doing today?
All right, how you doing, Sam?
I'm doing pretty good. Tarik, so week one's in the books. We had a few shocking wins.
Mm-hmm.
Um, which one was this? Which 1-0 team is the most shocking to you? The Washington football team or the Arizona Cardinals?
I think the Washington football team it just completely shocked everyone. No one was really impressed in the offseason, and it came out and just like came out of nowhere. I think everyone was shocked by that one.
I would agree because they were an absolute mess at the beginning of the season before the season started. But the Arizona Cardinals knocking off the San Francisco 49ers, the team that went to the Super Bowl last year.
Yeah, yeah,
So
that was shocking too. I think it's just different levels of shock there because you're like, oh wait, well, no longer the Redskins, the
yeah,
Washington football team actually won. Then you're like, oh wow, the 49ers lost, who you and I have picked to
yeah,
go not win the Super Bowl but make it back to the Super Bowl this year. So it's there. I think it's just different levels, different sides of the same coin there.
absolutely. All right, so Pardon Our Picks, of course, is brought to you by Morning Wood Crafter, inspired by design, crafted by hand. So last week we we did okay, not great, but 10-6 for me, 8-8 for you. I mean, these things. That's why it's a work in progress.
Yep, we're 500 and up. So I mean, there are teams that just beg for 500. So teams have gone 8-8 and still made it to the playoffs. So I'm not complaining there.
They have indeed the Chargers quite a few years ago. Of
So
course, the Saints, not the Saints, the Seahawks beating the Saints as a 7-9 team in the playoffs a couple
hmm
years. So let's move on to Tarik's game of the week.
all right. So the slide there already spoiled my pick there. Um, as I've said before, whether people are this is their first time watching or they watched before, I try to not just go for the games the NFL schedulers have picked. I go through, I look at records, I look at teams, I look at my faves, I look at a bunch of things. And it was between this one, the Saints, and the Raiders against, and also the Kansas City and the Chargers. So both those games are 1-0s going against each other. One's a division rivalry. The others is just let's see who can keep it up right now. So I went with the Monday Night Football game, a little bit more gravitas with it. But Raiders have come out swinging this year. They're trying to, I think, make it a good season being in the new stadium, finally being Las Vegas, which I heard a couple different announcers say on Sunday. We're all going to have to get used to saying that as a football team
Yeah.
because never been one before. But I think the one Monday night's going to be one to watch out for.
Oh man, I look forward to this one too. The Saints, of course, a great team. The Raiders showing up last week,
Oh
going
yeah.
to Carolina and whooping butt. Now it was a close game. So who do you got?
All right, so with that one, I actually do have New Orleans coming into Las Vegas and winning. I think they just have experience on their side, even though it is on the road. I don't think the Raiders have quite developed home field advantage yet. I'm going with New Orleans.
I too am going with New Orleans. The Raiders, of course, as you said, they don't have any fans yet because
Mm-hmm.
quite a few people don't have fans right now, and they're new to this stadium. So I think they go 0-1 in their first game in Las Vegas.
Yep.
All right, so let's get to our Thursday night game.
Nope.
I kind of skipped over it, but it is the Cleveland Browns at home against the Cincinnati Bengals. Both 0-1. The Bengals put on a good show against the Chargers last week. Who do you got?
I've got Cincinnati going in that one.
Okay. All right. I have the Browns in this one, simply because I think
You're a secret Browns fan?
Do what?
You're a secret Browns fan?
Perhaps, but no. The Browns, I think they're going to do a lot better than they did last week. They played a really hard team last week. The Bengals played a Chargers team that I don't really think highly of. And they still lost to that team. So I still think the Browns, they're going to get their feet under them. They're going to go 1-1 this week.
Yeah, I see that. I was going with history. Cincinnati just usually has Cleveland's number, so but they're used to playing each other. They're division rivals. So but we will, as we've said, we've been wrong. We have some upsets. We've seen crazier things come out. So we'll see.
Absolutely. All right. So now to the game that I have displayed behind me. The New York Giants at the Chicago Bears.
Yeah, so I've got Chicago at home for this one. They're 1-0. The Giants did not look great in their loss. So I'm just going with Chicago.
You know, the New York Giants, they kind of came alive a little bit towards the end of the game. A couple of passes to the tight end, Abram. Unfortunately, they came up short, quite a bit short, because Pittsburgh was just they were ready, even with Ben coming back. The Bears, they won against Detroit. They came back against the Detroit Lions in Detroit last week. The Bears might be a better team than I think that they're going to be, but I see an upset here. The Giants going into Chicago and winning.
All right.
Oh. Now, we have the 0-1 Atlanta Falcons playing against the 0-1 Dallas Cowboys. My team, of course.
Yep. So with that one, I'm going with Dallas. So not just to make you happy here, but I don't really have too much justification on this one. Just looking at it, and it's at Dallas. Dallas tends to have a good home field advantage. So, butthurt about the loss last week. I think they're going to come out swinging here.
Yeah, Mike McCarthy going for it on 4th and 5 in the Rams territory.
Be more subtle, Sam. No one caught that.
It seems like it almost felt like one of the games from the last couple of years where they're behind in the fourth quarter and they got to make a comeback. And I'm tired of it. And quite frankly, I think they are too. I got the Cowboys in this one, riding the ship, going 1-1 against the Falcons team that's not bad.
Okay.
They did pretty good last week against the Seattle Seahawks. So, but it should be. I think it'll be a shootout. So.
Yep.
All right. Next, we have the 0-1 Detroit Lions at the Green Bay Packers, who put a whooping on the Vikings last week.
Yep. Yeah, I think we were both right on that game last week, but this didn't really seem too hard to come up with. I went with Green Bay.
Yeah, this one's pretty easy. The Packers, I mean, they put up a lot of points last week. The Lions lost to the Bears at home last week. They're on the road this week against the Green Bay team. It's real good. Green Bay is my pick, too.
Yep.
All right. Next, we have the somewhat surprising 1-0 Jacksonville Jaguars at the Tennessee Titans, who squeaked out a victory last week against your Denver Broncos. Of course, both of these teams played both of your teams last week.
Yes, they did, and both of my teams lost.
Indeed.
Clearly. Yeah, so this one, I'm going with Tennessee. I think the two main reasons that Tennessee, one is just Denver still growing, and they got Henry. So Henry is their weapon, and they are using him. And I don't think Jacksonville has an answer for that. And it's at home in Tennessee. So I'm going with the Titans.
Okay. So the Titans, Hopefully they get their kicking woes in order this week. They
Mhm.
missed 3 last week. I think it was 2 field goals and an extra point.
Yeah, and that one was horrendous.
Yes.
I saw gifs about that the last couple of days. It's just popping up on Facebook and social media everywhere.
And then, of course, the Jacksonville Jaguars, who went and beat the Indianapolis Colts. Now, the last game, the only game you and me went to go see, we went to go see it in Indianapolis, and the Jacksonville Jaguars won there too. While we were there,
Did they?
they did. They did. And I believe the Titans will win this one, though.
Okay. I don't that was so long ago. Was 2008? That was 12 years ago.
Yes.
So I do not recall. I remember having fun. I don't quite remember who won. I remember seeing Marvin Harrison run right by us and catch a touchdown. Which again dates how long ago we went to that game. So yeah, I don't remember. I have to do research to see who won that one, but fun regardless, and we both agree Tennessee's going to win that.
Absolutely.
Speaking of the Colts behind you.
Yes. Vikings at Colts. Who you got?
So, I'm going against my faves because I'm looking at it, and while what's his name, Phillip Rivers, he looked better, more comfortable than I was expecting. The whole team hasn't quite congealed yet from what I was watching on Sunday. So I'm going with Minnesota.
Okay, so the Jello mold in Indianapolis hasn't quite come together yet. I agree. The Vikings, they put up some points last week, but they still got shellacked by Bay. I think that they come out of this one with a victory and go 1-0 Vikings over in Indianapolis.
Yep.
All right. We have the Buffalo Bills at 1-0, winning 24-17, I believe, last week against the Jets. The Jets, not a great team. The Dolphins losing against New England. Who you got in this one?
I got Buffalo. We picked them to go pretty far. I think they're starting to look good. And Miami, not much better than the Jets, in my opinion. So I'm going with Buffalo.
Josh Allen last week did pretty good for me. You know, I have him in my fantasy. Got 3 touchdowns. I think it was 1 rushing and 2 passing. So the Dolphins, they did okay. I mean, they held Cam Newton for the most part in check. They lost by like 10 points, I believe. So I believe the Buffalo Bills defense will shut down the Dolphins this week.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Next, we have the surprising 0-1 San Francisco 49ers flying to the East Coast to play the New York Jets.
Yeah, that was a shocker that they lost, but I don't think they're going to lose against the Jets. So, so I think they're going to win this one.
49ers lost to Cardinals last week, and it was a little brutal because a lot of people believed that the 49ers were going to pretty much run away with that one. But they got some key acquisitions, and, the Cardinals came out on top.
Mm-hmm.
I believe San Francisco will come out of this one victorious. All right. We move on to the 1-0 Rams playing against the 0-1 Philadelphia Eagles.
Yeah, I'm going with LA on this one. The Rams are going to win.
Rams to go 2-0 against Philadelphia. Per Tarik and per me, I believe the Rams will win that one. They looked decent on Sunday night, and Philadelphia looked pretty bad.
Yes, they did.
I believe the Rams will go in there and get their second victory.
Yep.
All right. We have the 0-1 Broncos playing against the, and that is a typo, folks, 1-0 Steelers.
So, again, I'm going against my fave to go with the Steelers here. So, Denver showed a couple of things, and as we talked about last week, they don't have my brain just what's what's his name? Very professional here.
Von Miller.
Yes, Von Miller. All right, so
Yeah.
he's on IR. He's not back. He's not coming back. Unsure about Cortland Sutton, even though they got a bunch of other wide receiver weapons for Drew Lock, and that did seem to help. Philip Lindsay, the running back, he may miss a couple of games. He hurt his foot during the game. So I don't. You still got Ben Roethlisberger back, and he's a big guy that can move, even if he's not as fast as he used to be. He's still a big guy that can move. Pittsburgh's got a lot more experience, and they're a little bit more well-oiled at this point. So as much as I want Denver to win, I don't, unless we get a giant upset, I don't see them being able to pull this one off.
I think a lot of people want to see the Steelers lose, at least watch our program. So, the Broncos, their defense was pretty good last week. They held Tennessee, for the most part, in check, blocked the field goal. The Steelers kind of went a little nuts against the San Francisco 49ers. You know, they got some points. Denver's going to be a much tougher team for the Steelers, but I still see the Steelers in a close one winning. Going to 2-0, not 1-1, as the screen would tell you. So, let's move on to the 0-1 Panthers against the 0-1 Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Yep. So the big question is, do we think Tom Brady can get his first win? I laughed so hard. Watched the end of that game where he lost. Made me feel very good inside. Helped proving my point that his system is what kept him winning, and I think his ego might be a tad bruised. That he wasn't continuously the god of all things with the Tampa Bay Bucs that he was with the New England Patriots. And I'm actually picking them to beat Carolina.
Okay. So, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, yes, they got a loss last week against the New Orleans Saints. New Orleans Saints, watching that game was kind of brutal, considering both of these quarterbacks have so many yards, so many touchdowns, and I don't think either of them got close to 200 yards passing last week. It was not an offensive game. It was offensive, but not offensive. Of course, the Panthers lost last week to the LA Raiders, a team that's pretty good. I see the Buccaneers getting their first win, though, going 1-0. All right, we move on to our two surprising 1-0 teams. The Washington football team going into Arizona to play the Cardinals.
Yep, and like you said, Arizona's built up a little bit. They're gearing up. They're rebuilding, and so I think I think the Washington football team, slightly a fluke. They look better than we expected, but I think Arizona's going to come out with this one.
Arizona winning against San Francisco last week in San Francisco was impressive. Yes, they got DeAndre Hopkins. They got a new wide receiver in the draft. They're looking pretty good. Of course, they got Kenyon Drake in the backfield, and they got a couple other running back options. Washington had to come out of halftime to come back and beat the Philadelphia Eagles. I don't see lightning striking twice for Washington. I see the Cardinals winning this one.
Yep.
All right. Let's move on to the 1-0 Kansas City Chiefs playing against the 1-0 San Diego Chargers.
Yep. I think this was, again, my runner-up for game of the week. I think it's going to be a good game, but I think the defending Super Bowl champs are going to be able to pull this one out.
Okay. I have the Chiefs winning this one. I don't think it's going to be close. Tyrod Taylor is not going to be able to keep up with the Kansas City Chiefs. So, all right. We have the Baltimore Ravens with their impressive victory over the Browns last week, going against the team that lost to Kansas City last week, who only got points pretty much in garbage time.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah, this one was another one of those ones that doesn't really seem hard to pick. So I'm going with Baltimore on this one. I think they're proven they're still the team that won like all those games last year, and the number one team going into the playoffs. So I think they're going to continue that streak, and I think they're going to win.
Baltimore last year absolutely shellacked the Houston Texans 44-6. It wasn't close. It was never close in that game. I think it's going to be a lot of the same this week. Baltimore Ravens they're going to demolish them. So, and it's bad luck for the Texans because they played Kansas City week 1, they played the Ravens week 2. Of course, the Ravens played Cleveland week 1, which is not easy anymore as it used to be. Then they had to play Houston, and now they're going to play the Chiefs next week. So if they go 3-0 in that, they're sitting pretty in the AFC. All right, we have our Sunday night game. We have the 1-0 New England Patriots with Cam Newton at the helm, a couple of rushing touchdowns last week, against the Seattle Seahawks, who put a 30-burger on the Falcons last week. Can't remember who they played.
It's late. It's the middle of the week. We're both having brain farts tonight, man. It's all good. I'm going with Seattle on this one. We got Cam Newton still learning to gel with the New England Patriots system against the Seahawks at home. I think the Seahawks are going to pull out of this.
The 12th man isn't going to be a factor this week, folks, considering there's nobody in the stands to be a 12th man. The New England Patriots, of course, like I said, they got the 2 rushing touchdowns from Cam Newton, but they didn't look impressive against the Miami Dolphins.
No.
The Seahawks looked impressive playing against Atlanta. They went in there and they put a beating on them. They won impressively, and I believe that will continue this week. Seattle Seahawks in a probably a big win this week. So that's it, folks. That's all of our picks for this week. If you want to pick against us, think we picked one wrong, go ahead and put it in the comments. We'd love to read them. In the meantime, I'm Sam.
I'm Tarik.
And you have a good football week.